Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
It's too cool, but yes.
I think you got to peel the...
Yep, there we go. Okay, let's try that again. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday night, May 19th, Town of Monroe Board Meeting. Can I get a motion to open up this evening's meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Call the question.
Am I?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Full aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, so moved. All right, first item up. Tomorrow night at Jake's Wayback Burgers, Troop 440 has an Eagle Scout fundraiser. It's going to be on Tuesday, May 20th from 4 to 8 p.m. That's at 816 Route 17M in Monroe. And you could help support the beautification of Monbassia Park with that. The Eagle Scouts project is to formulate a design for standardizing our signs at all our different properties. Next up is St. Paul's Mission Trip Car Wash Fundraiser. That's going to be May 31st, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at 21 Still Road, St. Paul's Lutheran Church parking lot. The cost is free. Hopefully you could give a donation. Mobile DMV, they'll be back in June, and we will get a date in the next week or so. They suspended it for the month of May. Next item, Mary, you want to talk about the Lions Club?
Sure. The Lions Club is going to be running a community youth fishing derby. It's a free event, no fishing license required. But the youth need to be accompanied by an adult or a parent who's over 18 years of age. One rod for the youth. The worms are going to be provided actually by the library. The date is Saturday, June 28th, with the rain date of Sunday, June 29th. And it's going to run from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. noon. And it's going to be at the Mill Ponds across from the movie theater. So sign up is from 8:15 to 8:55 that morning, and then the fishing clinic, just to give the children some basic instructions on fishing, is going to run from 8:30 to 8:45 in the morning, and it's a catch and release, and prizes for everyone. I can give you a little hint. It might be like a fishing pole or some lures or something along those lines. And if anybody...
Sounds fishy.
Ooh.
It sounds fishy, yes. And contact is jomcilroy88@hotmail.com if interested, and hope to see everybody there. And one last thing, Beck's Hardware of Monroe is supplying coffee, hot chocolate, and donuts to everybody who's going to be there. So please come and attend. And as I said, it's going to be for children, starting from age 5 to age 12, but it's going to be in certain categories. And hope to see the young people there.
Thanks, Mary.
Mary, you want to do a recap of the library now?
Oh, sure. So they had their 70s disco, and they had 90 attendees participate. They had music, dancing, and crafts of that era. So the library is very much appreciative to everybody who attended. And they also had I'm going to say they were supposed to have a community yard sale on this past Saturday, but it was rained out, because it did rain pretty heavy in the morning and there was a big shower. So that's going to be on, where did I write it? I didn't write it down. I think it's the 31st, Saturday the 31st. I have so many pieces of paper, I'm not sure.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's papers everywhere.
But, yeah, so it's going to be rescheduled, so I think if you still wanted to participate, see Joanne at the library, and she'll tell you if there are any spaces available. Thank you.
We all just want to know what song you sang at karaoke. We've been waiting.
Not me. I would have scared everybody away if I had sang. So,
Mr. Fordham, Chairman Dennis Fordham from the Conservation Commission. You asked to speak about the Monroe Repair Cafe.
Hello, Dennis Fordham, you can hear me very briefly. We've just come out with this new flyer. This is to now advertise the event to get people to come. We're pretty much set with all their fixers. The list is on there. Can you scan down a bit? Can't even read it here. So we've got mechanical, electrical, the repair lamps, any other electrical device, jewelry. Cyrus Jewelers is going to be there to repair jewelry. Stitching and sewing. I've got two ladies that can do hand sewing. I'd love to get someone else there with a sewing machine. So if any volunteers can sew. And then what else have we got? We've got laptop, computer repairs, checkout, that sort of thing, knife sharpening, bicycle repairs. So I think we're pretty much covered on the fixers. I'm pretty pleased about that. I've spoken to John, the maintenance guy. We're all set up in here. Hopefully he's going to set up for us on the Friday. And yeah, that's about it. Just wanted to let you know. Please, can you put this on the website? The Facebook,
Yep.
yeah, and yeah. In terms, I may send you something so you can put that on the website as well. In terms of other volunteers that we need and so on.
Make sure you send it to Jen.
To Jen, absolutely, yeah. Okay, that's it. So looking forward to it. Should be good. Thank you.
All right, thank you,
Good job.
Dennis.
Thanks,
Thank
Dennis.
you.
Okay. Item 4.1. This was done in error by myself, so I'm going to make a motion to open the continuation of public hearing in relation to the increase and improvement of facilities at Water District Number 14.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Nobody probably signed up?
No, because this was for
Okay,
June.
because it was scheduled for June, my error. So nobody signed up, so I will make a motion to continue it on June 2nd at 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter.
Second.
Question.
Aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Item 4.3 is to set the public hearing date for the 2026 Community Development Block Grant, and I'd like to set that for June 2nd at 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter. The town invites public comment, suggestions regarding projects that would be considered under the Orange County Community Development Block Grant. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Item 5.1 is the acceptance of the May 5th, 2025 minutes.
Pool will make a motion that we accept the minutes from the May 5th.
Bingham will second.
Question.
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone abstained, I was absent.
Pool, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Item 6.1 is the general fund abstract. Be it resolved, I'll make this motion that the town board of the town of Monroe request approval of abstract 25-10, general fund containing checks 36762 through 36836, totaling $425,024.39. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Up is the escrow fund. I'll make a motion. Be it resolved that the town board of Town of Monroe requests approval of abstract 25-07, escrow fund containing checks 2212 through 2214 for $3,762.25.
Bingham will second for discussion. We had two items on that abstract. One was for Beto and the other for Russell, And those were already approved at our 5/5 meeting and our April 7th meeting. I just want to make sure nothing's being duplicated. I don't believe so. I think the abstract is just listing everything, but I'll double-check with Finance probably tomorrow. So I'll make a motion that we accept the abstract.
Question.
Bingham, aye?
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Item 7.1, I'll make a motion, be it resolved, Town Board of the Town of Monroe makes a motion to approve abstract 2025-03 in the amount of $440,000 for cash transfers to and from our investment funds.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Item 8.1 is a budget transfer abstract. I'll make a motion, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe approves budget transfer abstract 2025-01 totaling $37,095, and that's for 2025 expenditure adjustments.
Bingham, second for discussion. Okay, the 5/5 water admin miscellaneous for $1,000. The second line, water admin miscellaneous, that should read Water District Number 1 miscellaneous, just to make it a little more clear. The other thing on that,
Both of them.
no, just the second one should be Water District Number 1. The
Okay.
first one is the
Yep.
main shared account.
Okay.
Okay. The second thing is there are property taxes on here, and I did speak with Mr. Nugent earlier. He's going to look into why these water districts are paying property taxes, because it's not like it's owned by another municipality. This is property that is owned by that water district. So it's not much money. It's the most expensive one is $150, but I'll just ask that Mr. Nugent look into that for the next meeting, possibly.
Absolutely.
So should we do a motion for conditional approval removing some items, or what are we looking to do here?
No, this
On the tax
is
roll
already on
already.
the tax roll, so
Yeah.
this, if whatever he can find out, would apply for next year. So the abstract is fine the way it is. I just wanted Mr. Nugent to give us some information as to why they're being taxed.
Well, I will say this, they're doing a review on all municipal-owned properties that has already started, but it's not going to be take effect until the 2027 tax.
You want to understand why it's
Right.
being paid, right?
And if we need a resolution, if you could have that for us, so it might be in the 2026. Okay. All right, so I made a motion to approve the abstract.
I made the motion.
Oh, then
you
I
seconded.
second.
Call the question?
Bingham, aye?
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Okay. Item 8.2 is another budget abstract. Be it resolved, Town Board of Town of Monroe approves budget transfer abstract 2025-04 totaling $1,000 for 2025 expenditure adjustments. Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. 1 second. Town Board approves budget 2022, $1,200, 2025 expenditure adjustments.
Poole will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, and finally, be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe approves budget transfer abstract 2025-03 totaling $2,650 for 2025 expenditure adjustments under general repairs.
Will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye?
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
So moved. Okay, next up is the short-term rental application This will be discussion regarding a short-term rental application submitted by Camille Tokarud at 112 Osseo Park Road, SBL number 58-1-1.2. Three area variances are required to satisfy the appeal pursuant to the Town Code, Section 40-7A 5. A public hearing regarding this is currently scheduled with the Zoning Board of Appeals for May 27, 2025.
That's correct. I think the only thing is that the survey actually showed that I didn't need all those variances. I just needed the side setbacks and the combined setback. So there will only be two. I don't know if they're going to take one away. I asked them about updating the letter that was sent out to the neighbors, and they said just send the letter as is, and they'll just rectify what actually needs to be done for the variance.
So, Mr. Nugent, I just want to be clear here. We still have to go over the 5 factors.
Yeah, anytime you're considering an approval, you have those 5 factors in the town code that we typically draft in the resolution, going through them for an approval.
Okay, so I had intended to approve this evening, or make a motion to approve it with the caveat that the zoning board approval with the fact that the zoning board would give approval.
Correct. I have already been to the zoning board, and there was just a problem with somebody's health, and then there was a problem without sending it the correct way. It was certified, not with return receipt, just certified. So they gave me the green light, because again, it's only a setback from the 1920s on the side of the house. So
Right, but-
they said it's just a process to come back.
Right. Now, my only fear is I don't want to do something that's going to be not following procedure here. So I'm going to
Well,
ask for your advice on this.
Yeah, I think it kind of would be not following the practice of the board. The board should have before it the resolution and the 5 factors and be able to review that and adopt it. So my recommendation would be you could put it on, regardless of the ZBA, you could put that in as a condition in the resolution, but you still need that resolution before you with the 5 factors analysis. I think it's really only 4 because one of them usually doesn't apply. And then I think you could put it on for June 2nd if you wanted for approval, and we can draft the resolution and present it to the board in the meantime. And if we need the condition for the ZBA, we could put that in there that it's subject to approval of the variances.
No, that's not what you wanted to hear.
Does that mean I'm coming back and bothering
You don't have to come back. It's obvious. We always love seeing you.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I think if there's any issues that come up between now and June 2nd regarding that analysis, you would be contacted because we'd need your input, if there's a question or an issue.
All right, so you'll contact me, but if I go to the ZBA next week as is, and they've already given me the green light, I'm finished at that point with them?
Yeah.
They will
Yeah,
give me
just
the
make
report?
sure that somebody knows so that
Sure,
we...
I'll follow up with you.
Yeah, we just wouldn't need the condition in that case for the ZBA. We would just
Yeah.
do the 5 factors.
And she's not going to run into any trouble with the type of mailings that she did?
don't
No,
know the
not
type of
now, I
mailings.
did it, I redid it, so I sent
Oh, you
it-
did,
you
you
did.
did.
I've already
Okay.
done it.
That
so,
was the
yeah.
ZBA, I believe,
Yeah.
right? And you already did the mailing for this,
No, I did it with the ZBA,
for the variances.
I've already done that for here, but I did it for the
Yeah.
ZBA variance.
As well.
You had to do it again.
I had to
Yeah.
do it twice, because we just didn't ask for return receipt.
Welcome to government,
Yeah.
I think my neighbors know well what I want to do, and
We like to double
they don't
dot
pick
our
them up
I's.
anyway, but anyway. All right, thank you.
Thank
Right.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Next up, 9.2, sadly, Laura Ippoliti will be resigning from, or has resigned from her dial-a-ride position. So I'd like to make a motion. I don't want to make a motion, but I'll make a motion to approve her resignation.
Second.
Call the question.
Hingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Full aye.
Richardson, aye.
There was an
Okay.
effective date on that too, Supervisor.
It's effective immediately.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was, I believe it was last Wednesday, which would
Right.
have been the 8th.
I believe so, the date that's on the letter.
Before you go ahead.
Yeah, May 8th.
Not the 8th.
It does say the 8th on the,
Says
Eighth
the
was
8th on the letter,
Thursday, I
okay.
think.
yeah.
Yep, okay. What? Yeah, so I did that second because I skipped over 2 and 3,
Oh, okay.
right? Val, just double check. We approved abstract number 4, 2025-4. It was
Yes.
approved second, though.
Oh, I thought you switched 3 and 2.
No. I went 1, 4, and then 2 and 3.
Likes to mix
It
it
was
up.
it was my error because front and back of the pages.
If you did approve all 4, I'll have to just watch the video and reorganize them.
Yeah, so, okay. All right, did we call the question on that?
We approved her resignation.
We did, but we didn't call the question.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. All right, next up, item 9.3. John Mulligan, with the resignation of Pat Patterson, who was the water administrator, John Mulligan has taken over those duties. I think that he's got complete responsibility, and he's very capable to do the job. I would like to approve a $2,500 additional stipend for the responsibilities he has regarding that being the water administrator.
I'll second.
So, okay, I'll put that in a motion. You second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful choice. He's really very knowledgeable. He's been working on this very diligently, and he has a good understanding of the rules and regulations. So I'm very much in support of it. So Bingham, aye.
Question?
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Okay. Item 9.4 is Town Hall summer hours. And be it resolved that the Town Board, Town of Monroe, effective beginning the week of June 9th, normal business hours will through October 14th. Normal business hours will be Monday through Wednesday, 7:30 to 5, with a 30-minute lunch. Thursday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. with an hour lunch. And Friday, Town Hall will be closed. The week of June 30th is a modified schedule because of Independence Day. So Monday, Tuesday, 7:30 to 5:30, Wednesday, 7:30 to 5 p.m., and Thursday and Friday, Town Hall will be closed. Thursday, essentially.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Next up, item 9.5 is Eagle View Estates. The recommendation for the performance security. I know Mr. Schaefer's here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to thank Mr. Nugent and the Planning Board Attorney, Ashley Torres, for getting me on the agenda so quickly in short notice. I sent in some 2 attachments to Valerie to print out for the town board regarding the letter to give you a bullet list. I've been in front of this board, not myself. This is the first time I'm actually speaking. Mr. Caldonado did most of the speaking for me. With that being said, I also sent in a code that I think was cited by Mr. Nugent as well. I have been in front of this board for a couple of times for various reasons. Prior to this panel this evening, the predecessors also have elected for me being in the sewer district, and I know we're in a moratorium. With that being said, I'm asking for relief for the $14,000 in change that the town attorney, the town engineer, Mr. Arnott, presented in to my legal team. With that being said, I think I try to cover some of the bullet points in my cover letter. This has been a 7-year project of my daughter's dream to get done, which she is probably going to be leaving this year for college. It's something we try to accomplish being a 25-year resident for a bit of time. With that being said, those funds of the $14,000 and change could be utilized for the start of the project that's probably at the time now to be signed off. I know Ms. Francis, the chair, and the rest of the panel, after the length of time we've been, we've consented to anything and everything they wanted. I'm here just asking for a release of the $14,000. If the past dictates the future, I have paid for 7 years $150,000 of earnest money to this municipality to get where I am today. I'm only asking for the first time in the 7 years that you grant me this relief of the $14,000 so I could start this project for what I have time left with my daughter and for me in Monroe. If you have any, the only thing I did not send in because I was taking care of my mom was I don't know if Mr. Nugent furnished it, but the actual proposal from Mr. Arnott. If you don't have it, I do have 8 copies here for your review if you haven't had a moment. So can I hand it to you or do I give it to?
Is
We did
that
a
his
clerk.
letter, May 8th?
I'm
Is
sorry?
is that his May 8th letter?
I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
I have it here.
You could hand it to the clerk.
Okay.
So, Schaefer, this is, just so we're clear, this is not a payment, this is a security bond.
That is correct.
Okay, so
Mr.
that,
Cardone.
as long as the project is completed, you'll get that money back 100%.
I fully understand that, but if we look at the covenants and the deed restrictions and the filed map that's insured and everything else with the county, I'm signing all of the documentation, I'm guaranteeing it, and Mr. Maldonado, which we all know will never give me a building permit if I don't abide by the covenants and the restrictions that are illustrated from the planning board. We're all well aware of that. I'm just
He'll
asking-
give you a building permit, he'll just stop the work if it's not done correct.
Well, not only not the CFO, he will stop the work as we all know it, and I fully agree with that. But again, the past will dictate the future. I have never sidestepped my responsibility. All I'm asking is I could use that funding now without reaching out for more funding within myself. I mean, I have a road to travel down, and even though it might not be a lot of money to the town board, $14,300 is a lot of money to escrow up for something that I've endured for 7 years, paid $150,000 cash to the boards to get where I am today. I'm going to do every part of my agreement. I'm signing everything. Nothing's going to move forward without it.
Right, and let me just say this. So I received your letter. I gave it some serious thought. I reached out to council. If we could, we would most likely, I'd say, forego this, understanding what has gone on.
But it
The
isn't-
issue becomes,
Okay, I'm sorry.
it was a planning board resolution and restriction. And I don't want to overrule that. I will reach out to our chairwoman, and I'll let you hear it from Mr. Nugent, too.
But if I can interject for one moment, please. But your board, like I was here prior regarding other matters, which we're not going to get into, has the right to grant me relief in this matter. It's a town. I paid for Ms. Arendt's services, which is also in here, and your board, paying for those services, could grant me the relief. Ms. Arendt didn't illustrate this or propose this invoice. Mr. Arnott did from the planning board. You are correct, the engineer. With that being said, your board holds jurisdiction for granting relief.
I'm going to defer to my attorney.
That's not exactly right, because the town board can't tell the planning board what to do or not to do. I think the supervisor's point is the planning board has put this requirement on the project, the landscaping security. What goes to the town board is setting the amount of the security. In other words, we can't say there's no need for landscape security, but we could set the amount. But typically, the town board defers to the engineer to say, what's the recommended security amount? And they get that from the engineer. So the difficulty is the town doesn't really have a basis to just say, the town board doesn't have a basis to just say, well, in your case, we're just not going to require security, or we're going to require less, unless there's some basis for that, or some, provision that makes the town board comfortable that they don't need to carry out the planning board's directive. So in theory, it could be $1 because that's set by the town board, but we can't say, we can't override the planning board once they put that provision in place. So I don't know if the town board has any basis to sit here and now say, well, instead of 14,000, it should be 5 or it should be 0, without some justification for that.
Well, it's within the board to grant relief, whether it be from 14,000 to 5,000 or 2,000. We're not asking it, or my family is not asking it to go away, but it's within the power of this board to say, well, let's take a look at this and let's put a relief in or a provision in that I'm signing everything that Ms. Torres from the planning board and being recorded and documented.
Just to clarify, it's Tory.
Sorry?
Tory, it's Tory.
Oh, I thought it was Torres, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's Tory.
I apologize.
No, it's all right.
So, Ms. Torres, and I've had conversations with her and my attorney as well, and I could see if I wasn't signing, it wasn't going in the deed and the covenants, restrictions, it wasn't being recorded in Orange County, but these facts, and Mr. Maldonado will never permit, he'll issue a stop work order and never give us zero. It's within the right of this board to say, well, we want to grant Mr. Schaefer the release from $14,300 to maybe $5,000. If it doesn't go away to the amount of 0, it could be some type of relief saying, let's put this percentage and make it 5,000, 4,000, whatever the number might be. But they don't have to uphold what the planning board's saying. And those are, I believe, the facts. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I believe those are the facts.
Let me say something. I don't think we're necessarily saying two different things, but the point I'm making is the town board generally needs to act uniformly in these matters. So what I'm saying is they can't just arbitrarily say, hey, you know what? I know the engineer recommended 14,000. Let's just make it 5. They need some basis upon which to act so that they have a valid reason for reducing that, whether it's a recommendation from the planning board or if the building inspector were to chime in and say, there's no need for that because I'm not issuing the building permit. There has to be some basis is all I'm saying. I'm not saying it can't be done, that it can't be reduced, but it can't just be because, and I'm not,
Well,
no offense to all that you're saying, but
we've had
Yeah.
conversations.
so, that's why I'm saying this board, as they sit here tonight, I don't see a basis for them to just say, we're going to reduce that security. There has to be either the planning board says, we don't need it, in which case we don't need to set an amount, or there's some other submission that says, look, you really don't need the 14,000 because of X, Y, or Z. Then the planning board, the town board gets that before them, and they say, okay, this is a valid reason, and they reduce it. That's kind of where I'm trying to explain. We can't just do it for sort of no justifiable reason presented to the town board from its own officials, boards, or engineer.
So, with that being said, so Ms. Horrend, the landscape design for the town, charged services to me for doing the work like anything else would happen. The hydrologist, for that matter, during this process as well. With that being said, I don't understand. Will you tell me how I could seek relief from my board, from our town board, as a homeowner here for 25 plus years, doing this process for 7 years, 150,000 later, every penny paid? How do I seek relief? Not that I'm not going to do the work, Mr. Nugent. Not that I'm going to circumvent the dollar of it. How do I get relief from my town people that I support? How am I going to get relief of that $14,300 that I could use for my family on the project? And I understand this is a legality matter, but there's somehow or another, the board has to have some empathy for what's going on since they represent the individuals that live here. All my life, All I do is donate my time and services. I never asked for a thing. This is the first time I come before this board or any municipality that I ask for one thing. So you tell me, how do I accomplish this task that I present to the board today?
Sure.
Help me.
Let me respond to that, okay? And I understand completely where you're coming from. I understand your point and how you feel about it. But for this board, whether you lived here for 6 months or 50 years, they need to act in the same manner in terms of their requirements. But the question you ask is, how can you get it reduced? My view, there needs to be, if it's not going to be 14,000, the security, then there needs to be some other provision, whether, I don't know where that comes from, whether it's the planning board, the building inspector, the town's landscape architect or expert says, hey, instead of the 14,000, we could do X. Maybe that X is you don't get this permit or that approval until the landscaping's done. I'm not as familiar with all the details, so it's harder for me to tell you how to do that. But what I'm really saying is the town board needs something from either the planning board, the building inspector, that architect, to say this could be reduced if this happens. In other words,
So you don't
Let me
think-
just
Go
say
ahead.
this, because we could go on and on. Let us,
One other thing I want to say, but go ahead, I'll let you speak, Mr. Caldwell.
we just got this letter today, Glenn, so let us decipher it. Let us try to come up with thoughts that we as a board are comfortable with. We'll obviously confer with Mr. Nugent, and I'll speak to the building inspector, and I'll speak to the planning board chair.
So one of the things I just want to bring up here is to reiterate what Mr. Nugent was stipulating to. So just give me a second to compose my thoughts for a moment. Ahead on. So back to what Mr. Nugent said a moment ago, real quick, is that another provision. I think I outlined the provisions by agreeing to Ms. Torrey's and planning board about the deed, the covenants, the restrictions, all of those noted items. I could not proceed forward, nor would Mr. Maldonado he would put a stop work order, and I would never get a C of O. So those provisions are in place that I'm signing on the dotted line for. So I think that's, I'm sorry.
Sorry, but just to speak to that, because you've mentioned it a couple times, that's standard process as far as I understand. And so it can't be something, an exception can't be made for something that's basically standard process, but we are very happy to look into this for you. And we can't, like he said, grant relief because we have, this itemized, essentially, bill in front of us explaining the total costs. And we want to see how we could, in this case, investigate your request.
Okay.
Because everyone has to follow the same universal
And
process.
I agree with that.
And we understand that you've been through a lot here, and we do have empathy. I can feel everyone on this board feeling for you right now. So we do hear you, and I think that we're going to have to take this back to our team and just ask what we can do here, if anything can be done.
Okay.
What I'd like to do
I-
is I'd
go
like
ahead.
to discuss it with the Conservation Commission. We put in a significant amount of work. I'd like to take a look at the plans, at the tree plan. I mean, this is a performance bond for the landscaping. So I'd like to see where the trees are being put on the property. We have homework that we have to do too.
Okay. I'll get on it this week. We will talk, and we will, I'll get you an answer. Hopefully, we can make a decision by June 2nd, which is our next meeting. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Okay, next up is the board meeting agenda software proposals. Madam Clerk.
So currently, as you all know, we have board docs for our meeting and agenda program. And we've been with board docs since 2018. And while nobody likes change, we've been informed that board docs is being switched over to this company called Diligent Community. It's basically board docs. There's some new enhancements with it. However, along with positive change, there's also a price. So the new price, currently, actually, we're paying $19,845 with board docs. And there's a 5% uptick, it seems, all across the board with whatever program you're going to go with. So our contract with them is through August 31st. And should we stay with Board Docs switching to Diligent Community, that price is going to go up to $22,900 for the year, with, again, a 5% uptick. So I had contacted another vendor that I've become familiar with from attending conferences and everything, and that company is called Civic Plus. What I'm looking to propose to the board is actually 2 programs, not just one. So it's not just agenda meeting management, it's also a FOIL program. So currently we have Edmonds doing our FOIL tracker program, and we are paying $752.46 for that portion of Edmonds
Per month or per year?
per year.
Per year.
So that runs through January 31st of '26, the FOIL portion of it. With Civic Plus, these 2 programs that I'm looking to acquire, for the first year, total $18,188. So that includes the next request, which is the FOIL program that has several added features that we don't currently have, and I've outlined that. You should have seen that in the agenda program. And also the agenda meeting management tool. So we're technically getting that first year free with the agenda meeting management with Civic Plus. After the first year, that second year is going to go up to $19,488. Again, that's for both programs, the FOIL tracker and the agenda meeting management. So, like I said, Board Docs Diligent Community is going to be $22,900 come the end of August. And if we go with Civic Plus, the first year of this contract is going to be $18,188 with a second year of $19,488.
Okay, so you're looking for approval of $18,188 for this year, and then $19,500, let's say, for the second year.
Right, and again, this is going to be 2 programs, so we would technically phase away from
Right,
BAS for the foils
or else,
and go with this.
okay. So I'll make a motion to approve that, to go with Civic Plus it is,
Yes.
for $18,188 the first year, beginning in August. Madam Clerk?
We can go live in August, yes.
Okay. And then the following year would be $19,500. Do I have a second?
That's $19,488.
I know, I'm giving you a
Okay, you're right.
I'm giving you a $12
Okay.
cushion, all right?
You know, that 5% uptick.
Okay,
That
second,
is it, not
seconded by
anymore.
Councilman Scancarello?
Discussion?
Yeah.
Just one question. So this is not only going to apply to the town board, this will also be planning board and ZBA?
Yes, so currently, the only boards that are using our program are planning, zoning, and town board. Ideally, all of the boards should be using this.
Foodna Park Commission?
Moodna
Yeah.
Park, Conservation, yes. And training, it's my understanding that this is not something that I will have to train everyone on. This is something that they can watch a video and train themselves. So everyone can be on the same page.
All the question.
Hingham, aye?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Full aye.
Okay, so moved. Item 9.7, ongoing community cleanup. So we spoke earlier in May about the One More Bag program that's been out there on Facebook. Currently, our highway department has bags, orange bags. So if you want to clean up your area, your roads, stop down at highway, you can pick up a bag from Angelina, let her know where your road that you're going to be cleaning up is. The bag can be left on the side of the road, and highway will go and pick it up in the next 2 to 3 days. Simple as that.
Apparently, people are also joining a Facebook group and taking a selfie with the bag and encouraging other people to get involved, so I think that's a great idea.
Item 9.8 is the amendment to the fee schedule. Mary, did you want to?
It's actually me.
There's Val, but
Oh,
I'll go after her. I have
okay.
something
No, I
to-
know you had
Oh,
something
okay.
too.
But
Go
Val
ahead,
goes
Val.
first.
So I'm basically looking just to add the marriage officer fee to the fee schedule, which is $75 performed by the marriage officer, which is myself.
Okay, I'll make a motion to add the marriage officer fee of $75 to be included in the fee schedule and added to the town website.
Poole will second.
Call the question.
Am I?
Cancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Okay.
Okay, so now my portion of the fee schedule is, with the new tree code, you had asked me to reach out to the planning board and to the building inspector's department to see what they suggested. And as I shared an email with you regarding Ben Maldonado, he said it's already part of the permit. So the example I like to use is somebody buys a house, and let's say they happen to have an acre of land, and all of a sudden their child wants to go into sports. And of course, they have some trees on their property. They find they have to take them down in order to put up some nets and paraphernalia for the child to practice their sport. And let's say it costs $1,500 to cut down one tree, and they have to cut down 4 trees. Well, Ben already has a fee schedule worked out that if it's going to be $6,000, it's roughly $300 they would have to pay to the building department to be in compliance with the new tree code as far as the trees to take down. So I don't think there's any addition that has to be done into the building department. Bonnie Franson did say she suggested $250 if anybody had to come before the planning board, because certain provisions of the new tree code say they have to go down to the planning board if it's a native landmark and something specimen tree, yes. So my suggestion is we add to the fee schedule $250 to the fee schedule for the tree cutting process with the planning board.
I'm a little worried that 250 might be a little steep.
Well, they're going to pay $300 if they go to the building department, so. Because you have to remember, you have the members of the planning board, you do have, they're going to look at the plan to say, you know, maybe instead of taking these trees down, you're going to possibly move the net or whatever over here, or the pool or whatever. So they are going to have to look at some kind of drawing or proposal from the resident who comes before them.
So,
It's not a money-making opportunity.
No, I get that. I'm more worried that it's going to keep people away from the planning board. They do. Oh, they absolutely do.
so a lot line adjustment is $250, but that's all you pay. And I'm curious, aren't there other fees once you attend for the tree law, a planning board meeting? Because they're not just assessing your landscaping plan, they're
With the tree law, if it's a resident coming before them, like I said, if it was something just on their property that they had to take down trees, that's it. It's not for a developer coming in, taking down trees. That's a whole separate process.
Right, and it would, if they were applying for a pool, right?
That would go before the building department probably, unless it was a specimen, a landmark, or native tree.
I think 250 is a fair number.
yes, please.
Yes.
Come on up.
Come on up, Dennis.
I understand this is a situation where, as the new tree law, up to 3 trees, the property owner has to submit a form just to say he wants to take these trees down. No,
Just the mic, Dennis, please.
hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Is that good? Yeah. Are you talking about a fee in association with those three trees?
Not the 3 freebies, no.
In going to the planning board,
Okay, so that's if it's in excess of 10 trees.
Or, no, or if they're taking down a landmark tree or a specimen tree or a native, like a really important tree.
Bless you.
Right.
They have to get
I
planning, it's
understand
written
that,
into the
yes.
code that they have to get planning board approval
Aren't
for that.
fees assigned to that particular tree, in which case, why would you pile on another $250 just to be before the
Well,
planning
because
board?
they have to go before the planning board. And
So this is just a fee associated with the administrative costs.
with their
for the
business
planning
with the
Right.
planning board.
It does seem
Yes.
a little high, because I
Yeah.
tend to think that it's going to discourage people from doing that, because we really want them to. If it's in excess of 3 trees, then potentially they would be subject to the in lieu cost. More than 3 trees goes to the building inspector. If they're not going to replace those trees, then you have an in lieu cost, which there again, you have to decide what that's
Right,
to be.
right, and when they go to the building inspector, they'll have to pay a percentage of whatever the cost of that work is going to be.
And then we have $150 for accessory apartment permits and historic reviews. So I feel like that's a lot of work as well to be seen in front of the planning board. I just have a benchmarking document in front of me here. And I'm thinking that we're already going to charge per tree basis than a $250
It's
flat
not
rate.
per
wouldn't be
tree,
per
it's
tree.
just a one-time, you just pay the one-time fee. It's
To
not a
appear
per
before the
tree
planning
before the
No,
planning
we are
board.
going to charge people for each tree that they take down, and then additionally, you are proposing that we charge a base rate of $250 to be seen by the planning board. That is what I'm saying. It seems a
Okay.
little high because we are going to be charging per tree.
Okay, now let me just try and clarify this from my mind. If it's up to 3 trees, all they have to do is to submit the form saying they're going to take these trees down. We can then look at that, and if it happens to be a specimen tree, we could say, can you please try and preserve that? But as far as that goes, there's no associated costs. Okay? If it's 3 trees to 10 trees, then that goes to the building inspector. Right? And then, obviously, there's the permit fee associated with that. And if they're not going to replace those trees, then they're subject to the in lieu cost.
Yes,
If it's more than 10 trees, then it goes to the planning board.
That's right.
And that's where we're talking now, I think. Where you're talking with the planning board, there's an administrative fee that they would have to pay to get these 10, 15, 20 trees, whatever it is, reviewed by the planning board and a decision made.
Would it also,
So this
is a historic tree or a landmark tree, you know, you had a 50-inch oak tree.
Right, but
You haven't done the survey yet, too, so that's another thing that somebody
Correct.
might have to
So-
go out and
so-
check it.
So the building inspector or the conservation commission or the landscape architect would say there's one tree worth preserving, can you try and preserve it? There's no, that's just a permission issue as I see it. There's no cost associated with that over and above the in lieu cost or the application fee cost. It's just whether you allow them to take that tree down.
so now, Mary, this would also be, that would be paid board should they need to take down more than 10.
That is correct.
Okay,
But that probably wouldn't happen on a residential property. That's probably more happening with some kind of development.
and then that would be built.
I think that was
I
Bonnie's
think if you're
concern,
taking
that
down
it
more
would
than
be a
10
resident.
trees, you're looking at some substantial piece of construction.
Right.
Right.
Like a swimming pool, like a tennis court. So it's something where $250 in that case probably isn't too significant. But, so,
If a homeowner has an acre of property and 10 trees, are there, it's actually not that much, especially if they're dispersed over the property, especially at the DBH that we've assigned to this.
that is correct. But this is to be assessed by the building inspector.
Yeah.
With the associated permits, that's 3 to 10 trees. Right? If it's up to 3 trees, there's no associated cost.
I think that reviewing a project like a pool, you have to go in front of the planning board anyway and pay an associated fee
Yep.
for that.
And that would
So,
fall
Certainly
under
the
that.
building
Have to go
inspector.
before
The
the
building
building
inspector
inspector.
would normally deal with something like a swimming pool.
yeah, so I don't think that it would be fair, I'm just going to use myself as an example. I inherited a home that had a huge amount of overgrown trees that would actually have killed
other healthy trees, and there were trees that were not dead, but dying that I had to take care of, and it was already a huge financial burden. And then to add the hurdle of having to go in front of the planning board, if it were now, I think charging them $250 is quite a lot, especially because we are going to be charging per tree anyway, and then the arborist is going to be charging them thousands
Well,
per tree.
yes, maybe. Yeah, no, that's
But
true. So,
I have a
but
question, Mr. Nugent. When the planning board has a project in front of them where it is, say, a pool, and they are determining how much to collect in terms of fees, does that just go into parkland? And are these fees that we're discussing, would that also go toward parkland, or where do they go?
There's a separate account for parkland fees.
Yes, I know that,
It's
but
per-
is that,
It's per lot, $5,000 per lot.
I think, yeah, they would go, these fees would go to that fund.
parkland?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the in lieu cost.
Excuse me?
And the in lieu cost, if they're not going to replace
Sorry.
those trees that they're removing, in excess of 3 trees.
Just to
goes
clarify,
in
I don't
parkland.
mean the tree fees, I mean the application to go in front of the planning board, the $250, the theoretical fee that we're discussing, is
I
that
don't
also?
think that would go into there,
Oh.
no.
Where does that go?
Application fee would just be the town general fund.
It's general
okay.
fund. General fund. Okay, so I mean, unless we've come to a meeting of the minds here, I'm thinking maybe we table this to June 2nd?
Where everybody could think about it a little longer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
And you've also got to decide the in lieu costs for the
What?
the in lieu costs for those
Right.
trees in excess of 3, in excess of 10, depending on where it goes. Originally it was $750. That's in the current tree law, not the current, the old tree law. It has been discussed to go up to $1,200, which is a lot of money, and that's per unit of a tree. So it even gets even more expensive if it's a large tree. So you'll decide that as well, and that
Right.
needs to go in the
Thank you,
in the
Dennis.
schedule. Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis.
I wanted to make sure that on the original fee discussion for the clerk, was there a vote on that?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
voted on that.
Okay.
Yep.
You have motion, but no, can we just run that vote again, just so Val has it for the
I
record?
made
I had Tony and Dory.
I made the motion, Dory seconded it, we voted,
Okay, unanimous?
All in favor?
all in favor?
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. So 2 items we've added. The first one is the Deputy Highway Super MOU. You have it in front of you. Essentially, it's to designate William Brown as the Deputy Highway Superintendent at a yearly rate of $6,500. His stipend for this year would be $47.50 based on his duties commencing on April 10th, 2025. So I would like to make a motion. Well, no, I
Actually,
can't.
I have to make that
You make the
motion.
motion, yeah?
So I would like to make a motion that we approve this MOU, this MOA, effective April 10th, 2025, and through December 31st, 2025. The town shall pay William Brown a stipend based on an annual stipend rate of $6,500 for performing the additional duties of Deputy Highway Superintendent of the Town Highway Department. The stipend payment shall be paid biannually and shall be prorated due to William Brown commencing the Deputy Highway Superintendent duties on April 10th, 2025. And this dictates how they will be paid, $1,500 and then $3,250 for a total of $47.50. I make a motion that we authorize the supervisor to sign this memorandum of agreement.
Second.
Call-
Scangarello?
No, I seconded it, thank you.
Seconded by Councilman Scangarello?
No, I seconded it,
Call the
thank you.
question.
Call the question.
Hingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Pool eye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Item 9.9, sadly today, we received a letter of resignation from, which you have in front of you, from Jack Byer. He will be submitting his resignation to the town effective June 6th. just to clarify, because his letter states he'll be retiring from the New York State Office of Court Administration on June 25th, 2025, and this is within the 30-day period from his retirement date. So I will make a motion to sadly accept the resignation of Jack Beyer, who was a major in the New York State Office of Town of Monroe.
King will second.
Question?
Aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Full aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. So item 10.1 is the water main pipes up at Bald Hill. I don't think we've reached a finalization yet. We have a letter from Civil Tech. I've been speaking with our engineers, and they would like to go from a ductile iron to a C900 plastic pipe. My only reservation, if we do go to C900, is that I'm not sure I want the town to take over at any point that water district, but I'm not sure if we can circumvent that in the future if it goes under. So I'd like to wait a second, have more of an answer.
Excuse me, did you
from-
say when something goes under? I didn't understand what you were referring to. I don't have,
If the water system managing it,
oh, financially, if they were, okay.
I'd like to do this second. Yeah, so I'll make a motion to table it.
Second.
Call the question.
I really think we should have voted on it now, but I'm going to vote nay.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Full aye.
We've been putting this off more than enough, and it doesn't make sense, so I'll also vote nay.
Public comment?
Excuse me, we were supposed to have the short-term rental discussion tonight. We made a motion last time that it would be on this agenda. I guess it should be under old business. Should I just read the same motion again? Town of Monroe, Town Board Resolution requesting the enactment of state legislation authorizing the town to adopt a hotel motel occupancy tax also pertaining to short-term rentals. So whereas the Town Board of the Town of Monroe recognizes the financial benefit of establishing a hotel motel occupancy tax to generate revenue for local services, infrastructure, and tourism-related expenses, and whereas such a tax cannot be imposed by the town without enabling legislation from the New York State Legislature, and whereas State Senator James Skoufis has introduced a bill authorizing such legislation for similarly situated municipalities, and the Town of Monroe seeks to enact similar legislation tailored to its jurisdiction. Now, therefore, be it resolved that number one, the Town Board of the Town of Monroe hereby formally requests that the New York State Legislature enact legislation authorizing the Town of Monroe to impose a hotel or motel occupancy tax at 5% in the fund. Number two, the town authorized to request to assemble Carl Brabenek and State Senator James Skoufis for introduction as a same-as bill in both houses of the legislature. And number three, on introduction of the bill numbers, the town board shall consider a subsequent resolution to authorize the supervisor and town clerk to execute the required home rule request forms pursuant to the New York State Constitution. And just pause, Nugent, do I have to add any language that it's pursuant to your approval or final?
Say that if you want, subject to approval of legal counsel. There's no
Subject-
harm in saying that, let's
Yeah,
put it that
so
way.
subject to approval of legal counsel.
Bingham will second.
Discussion? I think 5% is way too high for a hotel motel tax in the town of Monroe. We're kind of overflow from West Point and Legoland. We don't have a whole lot of a draw coming into Monroe that's going to automatically guarantee that these short-term rentals are are going to be doing well, and I think charging that additional 5% is going to hurt their business. I don't think that we should entertain this until after the short-term rental market for Monroe has been very well established.
The other aspect of that is the state is currently working with Airbnb and Vrbo to formulate guidelines regarding taxes. They're working with the counties. I actually had a meeting. I had a meeting last week with Airbnb's Northeast Policy Vice President, and us passing this and then the state passing it is too much of a bowl of spaghetti. And I don't think right now, as Councilwoman Houle stated, we're in a position to do so.
I think the short-term rental market is quite active and quite well, doing quite well, because we just had an applicant here today who wants to start another short-term rental. So I think the short-term rental market can definitely absorb a 5% tax. If most of the rentals are going, I'm going to say $200 a night, so that's an extra $10. You know, these are people who are spending money. We want them to spend money in Monroe and the surrounding community, and for regular taxpayers to not be able to see that the visitors are contributing some financial small portion. 5% is not a great deal.
I agree. I think that that's splitting hairs. Every single municipality surrounding us actually has the same exact tax. Assemblymember Brabenek agreed with my assertion that we already have a market of unregistered, unpermitted Airbnbs in Monroe. I personally actually spent hours of my time combing through Airbnb to help alleviate some of the congestion on the code enforcement team here in my first few months here. And we were all on the same page about this bill last year. And so to hear that, you know, the difference between 3%, which was standard a couple years ago, and 5%, which is actually standard to our area and standard to that market and standard to the cost of living increase, is disappointing, because, you know, we had the carry-ons here who were a very concerned family neighboring a proposed short-term rental application. And we had basically promised them that we were going to follow up on this because of the hollowing out of our residential neighborhoods. I mean, these are, there are people in Round Lake who came here in droves to protest, you know, a short-term rental in their lovely, quiet neighborhood, and to charge 5% to, you know, pay our code enforcement staff so that we can staff more to actually take care of this permitting problem that we've kind of self-created. We need to be doing that. It's just common sense. Otherwise, if every surrounding municipality has this 5% tax and we do not even have a fee associated with our permit process for STRs, and we actually have pretty much no enforcement, just so you guys know.
That's not true.
That's not true.
It actually is. I just told you that
Okay,
I had
call-
to dedicate
call the
my
question.
own time. No, I'm still speaking, thank you.
Call the question.
If we do not have a tax, and every surrounding municipality does, then we are actually becoming a hotspot and a destination where people do not have to pay, and we will have more and more of them. And again, you can ask our building inspector. There is pretty much no enforcement, and it's not possible with his workload right now.
That's not
to
true.
have
Our building
code
inspector
enforcement.
hasn't spoken to you in over a year.
That's a complete fabrication. That's actually just silly.
Okay.
I
Call the
spoke to him
question.
last month.
Councilwoman Bingham, please.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, nay.
Cardone, nay.
Well, nay.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, so moved. Public comment?
Christina Kiesel. Just a reminder, you'll have 3 minutes. Just please also speak into the mic and announce your name. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Evening.
My name is Christina Kiesel, and I reside at 311 Orchard Hill Road. I'm here tonight to discuss what I believe to be a violation of ethical conduct by Councilwoman Maureen Richardson. On May 3rd, a resident of the town of Monroe made an innocuous comment on a social media thread. I'm speaking here tonight on behalf of that resident who prefers to remain anonymous in order to protect their identity. The comment that was posted by the resident was in reference to a candidate that's running for town supervisor. The comment posted was a statement of support that simply stated,
Excuse me, Mr. Nugent, we discussed this last time, that there's really not a political statements allowing to be made. And if
This
the
isn't
resident
political.
has
Please
an
don't interrupt
issue
me.
with ethical concerns, I've never heard it being stated at a public meeting. We have a forum for this. So I've heard running for supervisor, I've heard social media, the rules of conduct limit this to town business. So I'd ask that.
this is regarding a private message that was sent to a private citizen. I'm giving context so that everybody understands the background.
Go ahead.
So what I was saying is that after complimenting a candidate on social media, Councilwoman Richardson sent a barrage of harassing private messages to this private citizen. And I would like to read those messages into the record. Ms.
And
Richardson
I would
stated
like
the
to please
following.
motion that we stop this political statement.
This is not political.
This is ridiculous.
Given-
We're going
I'm
to
going
talk
to
about
read the
social
statement.
media.
Mrs. Richardson, can you please let the
We've
speaker speak?
discussed this at length previously.
Right now, I haven't heard what was said. I heard there's an allegation of an ethical violation of an elected public official. I don't,
When
hear
have we
anything that-
ever had people come from social media and talk about personal grievances at the town microphone about what was said
I don't
on
know what it is
social
yet.
media?
She's speaking,
Go ahead.
so.
Go
I-
ahead.
You're an elected official.
You've already decided.
who
I'm
sent-
not an elected official when I'm on my computer at home or when I'm speaking from my political social account. We're
Untrue.
not even allowed to mix those two things together.
Mrs. Richardson, please
You've
let
decided,
the
so
resident
please let's
speak.
go. Please.
I'm going to read into the record what was sent to the person, and also I have the copies of the messages, so I'd be happy to share those with the board. Given the fact that you are autistic and advocate for autistic rights, you should probably stop saying that people have no people skills. Also, take a look at our prior chats where I listened to your grievances, helped you, and spent hours doing it. I wouldn't call what you're doing now a normal reaction or a quote people skills either. You should probably think for yourself instead of being an insulting, high school-esque bully driven by a hive mind of scoofus sycophants. The Democratic candidates can't win the general election. Harassing someone on a personal level after having a stroke is a crappy thing to do. Also, I am going to be a council person here for 2.5 more years at the very least. This is just stupidity, end quote. To my knowledge, Ms. Richardson.
So this is the second time we've mentioned the election and our attorney just sits there.
To my knowledge, Ms.
I'm not
Richardson.
just sitting here, okay? This isn't
is-
a campaign speech. This sounds like somebody who is talking about statements you made that involve town business.
She's already said allegedly that this is a private message that I sent to another
Well, it
individual
just read content
about
talking
an
about you saying,
election.
I will be a council person for the next 2.5 years.
It's
That's
about an election. She's
right.
repeated it multiple
And
times.
as I said, I have
I'm
the
going to lean
copies.
with the
I
First
do have the
Amendment on this
So
one.
Christine, just hold off a second.
Sorry.
This is just ridiculous.
If you would be quiet, we could get through it.
We
But-
shouldn't
but-
be entertaining it at all.
No,
Because
no,
then every
we
single
allowed
time.
you to entertain political BS
talking
regarding
about?
Councilman Scancarello.
What political
You,
anything?
you blew him up right here in this dais.
On
I'm going
what?
to allow Mrs.
What are you
Kiesel
talking
to speak.
about? When have we talked about an election or Councilman Scancarello at all at this
Okay,
dais?
Mrs. Kiesel, continue.
Supervisor, I
And
just want,
I'm sorry you have to deal with
Oh,
this.
she's sorry, yeah.
Supervisor,
that?
I just want to interrupt. I've stopped, I've paused the timer, and with all the interruptions and everything, I'm just going to let her speak, and you can feel free.
Yeah, we'll let her go ahead, yeah, just pause it.
I can
since-
guarantee you this entire statement would not have gone over 3
Okay,
minutes.
go ahead.
To my knowledge, Ms. Richardson is neither a neurologist nor a psychiatrist and therefore does not have the credentials to diagnose someone with autism. Her use of the term autistic in these private messages is highly inappropriate, particularly in light of the fact that the recipient of her messages is not in fact autistic. Councilwoman Richardson's comments are harassing, bullying, and offensive to the autistic community. To label someone as autistic and use this label as an argument as to why the person shouldn't be discussing people skills on a community platform is ableist and offensive. As a leader and elected official in Monroe, this behavior warrants an apology at the very least. I realize that the upcoming local race for town supervisor is highly contentious. However, there's no excuse for a sitting council person to abuse their position on the board in an attempt to silence the First Amendment rights of a private citizen. Thank you.
That is the most
Thank you.
ridiculous thing that
Thank you
I've
very
ever heard
much.
in my life.
Any other speakers?
That's all for public comment.
I'm speaking
Excuse
now
me?
is to counter
That's all for
this.
public comment.
I'm sorry.
And the
I'm sorry,
fact that you
Madam
allowed
Clerk,
this to go
I-
through
Madam Clerk,
is,
I could not
again,
hear you.
she
That's
said
all
no.
for
And
public
I'm
comment.
chairing the meeting, Councilwoman Richardson.
Oh, my God.
You always say, run the meeting, I'm trying to.
I've actually never said that. I've
Go
said
ahead.
run it
What-
fairly.
Yeah, you have. Go look at the film from
You
the
should
last
run the
couple of
meeting
meetings.
appropriately
That's all for
and
public
fairly.
comment.
All right, thank you.
So the fact that we let that through was completely ridiculous and indicative
Okay.
that
Supervisor,
this
I think
board
it'd
is
be
completely
appropriate for
biased.
Councilwoman Richardson to have approximately 2 minutes to respond since
Yeah.
the
Why
comments were
2
directed
minutes?
at her.
What are you talking about? I get.
Well,
I
that's
always
about
get-
how long her statement was, that's
Yeah.
why. I'm giving you equal
Well,
time.
can you start from the beginning because you guys are now.
Well, you got 2:45.
No,
Go
I've
ahead.
got 3 minutes. That was the most inappropriate thing I've ever seen. Social media is not a boardroom. I do not misuse my position on social media because I didn't say, as a council person with my town authority, I am saying X, Y, or Z. By the way, I'm autistic. So, yes, I had believed the person I was speaking to was on the spectrum because she posts, and I had believed that we had had that discussion previously. So, no, it was not ableist for me to say, stop talking about a person in people skills because someone had said something pretty nasty about how I had no people skills. You are a member of the Democratic Committee. This was completely personal, and so is the person on the committee. This is political. It's hyper-political. You came here today intentionally because you are a Scoofus sycophant, and I'm sick of you. So I'm not going to apologize.
That's
Whoa,
inappropriate.
Oh, is it
Councilwoman
appropriate? It's not
Richardson, that is
You're
very
crossing-
The
inappropriate.
display was inappropriate.
You're crossing a
This
line.
is a completely interference of the upholding of this building, which has a code of conduct for what we're supposed to discuss here. And this position is not at all indicated in a social media private message, not even a post to post, but a plea from one person on the spectrum to another who I thought was on the spectrum to say, cut it out. Because I have watched you and your girl gang bully me for how long now? And it is completely political. And I have been silent on it. And if I want to message someone person to person and tell them to cut it out, I'm going to do so the same way that I just told you to your face that I find your highly inappropriate behavior to be bullying for years now. You are also the same individual that has been asked to stop using the Monroe downtown revitalization to boost yourself politically because the Village of Monroe already has a revitalization committee, and you are asked to step down from it because of your bullying behavior and you couldn't get along with Mayor Dwyer. So I don't really know what's going on tonight because you've made a lot of allegations about public officials stealing grant money and taking it and putting it towards an illegal gazebo and Scoofus not intervening and all of these claims that you've made over the years. But here we are, the first time you come to a town board meeting in how many years is during an election, so to talk about an election, to talk about a private message that I had asked someone to cut the crap. Yeah. So I'm not going to apologize for that because the comments made were petty and inappropriate, and I've watched you do it for years. So thanks for coming.
You need thicker skin. You are a public official. You are in the public domain.
That's nice.
And
I made my
you need
statements.
to be able to live with the fact that people are going to say unkind things about you on social media.
And I can say
you
unkind things
cannot-
back.
You cannot
People
go after
say
all of them.
unkind
You need
things
thicker
all
skin.
the time, and I can
Okay.
say
You're-
unkind things back.
You had your 3 minutes and 10 seconds, and if you went back a few years, all you did was come up to this podium and attack people on this
Nope.
board.
I came up and said, don't build a
So,
dinosaur theme park
Ms.
in my
Kiesel,
backyard.
what I would suggest is if you or the person is serious, that you file a complaint with the Ethics Board. That would be the avenue to take here.
I would love for them to tell you that my social media is none of the town's business.
Anybody else want to speak? No? Okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn if there's no additional business.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Am I?
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cool, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here.